Charlotte was a beautiful girl from a noble family, but her life was filled with horrors since her family hated her, which forced her to face humiliations all her life. She continued to try and win her family's love, but everything was in vain. But one day, her family crossed all the lines and accused her of treason against the crown, which also broke her engagement with her fiancé. This was the straw that broke the camels. As Charlotte decides to escape the prison, which she called home, and starts running in the forest, the palace guards immediately chase her deeper into the forest, where she ends up entering the forbidden part of the jungle, where demons are said to roam free. She spots a huge, scary-looking mansion in the middle of the woods and decides to run towards it for safety, but ends up slipping and falling on the ground unconscious. Unaware of all this, a black and white-haired boy named Alan, who is also the owner of the scary mansion, wakes up and reads the newspaper, only to find out about a disgraced noble woman who has gone missing in this part of the woods. He wonders how stupid a person will have to be to enter the forbidden demonic part of the forest, when he suddenly senses a strange presence near him and decides to investigate. Not far from a mansion, he finds a collapsed girl lying unconscious on the ground, and to his surprise, it turns out to be Charlotte, the same noble girl mentioned in the news. As he picks her up in his arms, a group of soldiers from the Nero's kingdom surround him from all sides. Before Alan could even talk, one of the soldiers rushes forward and swings his sword at, but Alan calmly avoids the attack using simple illusionary magic. The soldiers are surprised by this and decide to talk it over as they ask Alan to hand over the girl, as she is a criminal who has to be presented before the royal family. Alan is a true Sigma and refuses to give her up, as he doesn't believe in kings and queens. But this really angers the soldiers as they charge at him, completely unaware of what kind of a monster Alan is. In an instant, Alan uses his ice spine magic, causing the soldiers to drop on the ground, unable to move, while he casts another spell which erases their memories and replaces them with an alternate memory where they never find Alan or the noble girl. The soldiers head back towards the palace in a daze. And after some time, Charlotte wakes up in the mansion confused about where she is when she spots Alan. Alan offers him tea and asks him how she ended up there in the forest. She claims that she is the fiancée of Prince Seal, the second prince of the Naraz kingdom. But one day, Prince Sissel called her to a public gathering and accused her of treason. Nobody believed her when she tried to defend herself, and she was exiled for the evil deeds she had never committed. Alan carefully listens about her traumatizing past and confronts her. She then thanks Alan for taking care of her and asks to leave, but Alan asks her whether she knows anything about cleaning and offers her a job as a living maid. Charlotte refuses the offer, so he decides to tell her a made-up, emotional story about how he was once in a party of adventurers, but was betrayed when his friends threw him into a group of monsters to try and open a seal of the magical temple. He tells her that he knows the pain of being alone, which is why he cannot let her go just like that. Charlotte is smarter than she looks, though, and thanks him again before refusing his generous offer, saying that she is a criminal and hiring her would only cause problems for him. Alan still refuses to give up, and as a final move, he places a death curse on his own heart. He tells her that he will only lift it if she agrees to stay, leaving her with no choice but to accept just to save his life. After that, they start cleaning, and Charlotte ends up scrubbing the entire mansion until it looks brand new. Alan is amazed by her skill, but soon realizes that she had only held the title of a noble, while in reality, she had been treated like a servant. After a bit of casual chat, she asks him for her next task, but Alan tells her that she is free to do whatever she wants until dinner. He shows her the library where she can read good books and gives her permission to stay there, but strictly tells her not to disturb him under any condition. After that, he goes back to work as he starts checking research papers, as he is very well known in the research community for finding even the smallest errors in any research. He starts striking out papers with a red pen till the papers start spitting blood. By evening, he gets done with his work and turns around only to find Charlotte sitting on the floor, quietly counting grains out of boredom. Confused by this, he asks whether she doesn't have any hobbies, but Charlotte replies that she only knows how to do household chores and nothing else. Realizing that her life has been nothing but tragic till now, he decides to give her a crash course on everything that the world has to offer. He pauses for a moment to decide his next move before leaving the mansion. After a while, he returns carrying various items and gifts from the market. He announces that today marks her first lesson in naughtiness, beginning with food. He displays all the junk food and bottles of wine he secured for dinner and explains that he sold his magical equipment to get them. Charlotte refuses to eat, saying that a proper dinner is healthy for the body, but Alan sweet talks her, and as her employer orders her to eat the cake, she takes a bite and asks him to join her. Alan replies that he does not like sweets. Charlotte then asks why he bought so many, and Alan tells her that he bought them all for her. Hearing that, Charlotte falls silent. A moment later, tears start dropping from her eyes. She thanks Alan for everything, saying that she is truly happy as it is the first time she has experienced something like this. Alan gently wipes her tears and tells her that this is just the beginning. From now on, he will teach her all the naughtiness the world has to offer. The next morning, he looks into his notebook of naughty plans which he worked on the whole night, such as summoning fluffy monsters, crafting crafting magical equipment, dumping any foe into living hell and other useless. But soon he realizes that only a deranged person like him would enjoy these dumb tasks, and throws the notebook into the dustbin. Frustrated, he decides to get some sleep, but while moving towards his bedroom, he ends up running into Charlotte, who bids him good morning. Alan, however, tells her that he is heading off to sleep since he pulled an all-nighter, but stops when he notices a broom in her hand. He asks why is she roaming around with a broom since she just cleaned the mansion yesterday. But Charlotte replies that she wants to be useful to him and keep the place clean and tidy. At this point, he realizes that despite being the nobility, she must have been treated like a servant all her life. While he was lost in his thoughts, he suddenly hears a familiar voice from the door and walks over only to find Charlotte staring at Mia, the girl who delivers mails and packages to Alan in this forest. Mia notices Alan and addresses him as the Demon Lord, which scares the out of Charlotte, who starts shivering. Alan immediately tells her not to worry, as he is just an ordinary wizard. But since he doesn't like talking to a lot of people, they think that he is a demon of some sort. Mia notices that Charlotte is new here, and after looking at her, she realizes that Charlotte is the girl from the news who committed treason. Charlotte gets scared, but Mia tells her not to worry, as she won't reveal this information to anyone. After that, Mia hands Alan his package while he gives her a different item to sell in the city. Mia claims that his item is in high demand and suggests that he should move to the city to run a business, but Alan refuses, claiming that he likes living peacefully in the forest. After that, Alan asks Mia what else can her company deliver, and like a typical blood-sucking salesman, she pulls out a catalog from her ass and hands it to him. Alan hands over the catalog to Charlotte and tells her to order anything she likes. Charlotte has never experienced this before and is overjoyed as she quickly orders everything that catches her eye. A few days later, Mia Cha finally comes back with the parcels and hands it over to Charlotte before delivering a secret wooden box to Alan. He opens the box and takes a punching bag out of it, which confuses Charlotte. But Alan claims this is the second naughty thing of the day. He gives Charlotte a pair of boxing gloves and tells her to go crazy, as this should release all the stress inside her. To make it more cathartic, he puts a photo of Charlotte's fiancé on the punching bag, but Charlotte refuses to do anything like that. Alan decides to give her a pep talk, claiming that she needs to let out her anger, but Charlotte replies that she is not angry to begin with. Instead, she only feels bad for the prince for having somebody of low status as his fiancé. Alan realizes that her feelings run deeper than he thought. He feels frustrated as he had already planned to attack the Nero's kingdom with Charlotte and then live happily together after defeating her enemies. But now all his plans are in vain, as Charlotte has already started blaming herself for things that aren't even her fault. Mia suggests that Alan give Charlotte some space, but sitting around and waiting is not Alan's style. He walks up to Charlotte and asks her to punch him instead of the punching bag. Charlotte turns down this sadistic request, but Alan takes her hand in his control using magic and punches himself so hard that blood starts dripping. Charlotte runs toward him and asks why he did that. Alan explains that to help her release her frustration, he had to do so. He reassures her she doesn't need to hide her feelings anymore while she's with him. He fixes his face with magic, but Charlotte gets upset and tells him not to do that again. As she's about to cry, Alan quickly promises he'll never do it again. Then he hands the punching bag back to Mia and apologizes for the trouble. Mia just smiles and says that it might be a hassle now, but soon he'll be needing things like a double bed, baby stuff, rings, and more. The next morning, Alan and Charlotte sit down for a cup of tea. Out of nowhere, the window swings open and a beautiful girl jumps in. Charlotte looks surprised and asks her who she is. But before the girl can answer, Alan jumps in and introduces her as Aruka Crawford, who is his younger sister. Alan tells Charlotte that his parents passed away when he was young, and after that, the Crawford family took him in. Then he turns to Aruka and asks how she even found this mansion, just laughs, and says she followed rumors about a strange demon lord lurking in the area and kept chasing those stories until they led her straight here. Alan about Charlotte as her girlfriend, but Alan tells her Charlotte's whole story. Iruasa seriously listens to the whole story and points out Alan is dumb for making a girl do random eating and punching instead of actually doing naughty things. Aoka claims to take care of Charlotte from now onwards to teach her naughty things. Alan refuses to do so and claims himself to be the best suited teacher to Charlotte. This sparks a controversy between them, and they decide to have a competition for Charlotte's custody. They head towards the market, and Alan uses his illusionary magic to change Charlotte's hair color. They disguise her in Rob so that nobody can recognize her in the wanted posters. Their first challenge is to pick a suitable dress for Charlotte. Aruka finds a pretty dress and sends Charlotte into the trial room. While Charlotte was inside, Alan and Aruka secretly talk about how they can find culprits who framed Charlotte. Between their their conversation, Charlotte called Aruka for help with tying the lace at the back of the dress. Aruka goes inside to help her, but she notices several marks and bruises on Charlotte's back. She gets shocked and secretly shows those marks to Alan too. Alan heals her wounds with magic without telling her, but he was raging with anger in his heart. He realizes someone in the kingdom must have hated Charlotte so much that they had to go to such an extent of harming her. Both Alan and seriously decide to find out all the culprits in the mansion who made Charlotte suffer so much. After regaining his composure, Alan randomly picks a dress for Charlotte. The whole group goes numb when the dress turns out to be a bikini and wins the round. Later in the street, Alan introduces shopping as another naughty thing they can do. He picks a stuffy animal from the shop, but nobody likes it. Then he picks another one, then another, but this choice gets rejected every time. Aoka comments on his choice to be trashy, and a sibling war strikes out between them. In the afternoon, they took a break for lunch in a restaurant. Charlotte suggested Alan not to overspend money on her, but Alan asked her to chill. He states that spending a little wouldn't hurt if she gets a little experience about the real world from it. Aruka throws a taunt at Alan over his choice once again, and the war begins. After a while, Alan keeps up a smiling front on the outside. He strengthens his resolve and decides he won't lose Charlotte to his little sister no matter what. Once again, they head out for shopping after lunch. On the way, Aruka spots a magical wheelchair and completely loses herself in its design. Alan notices her absence and takes Charlotte with him to a shop. He gently places a beautiful hair clip in her hair, and Charlotte gets shy. During their lovey-dovey moment, a group of thugs suddenly appear from behind and push Charlotte. They don't apologize and instead start causing a ruckus in the market. Alan maintains his calm and tries to talk over it, but they begin insulting him. The thugs take it to another level, and one of them asks for Charlotte for a night. As a repayment, he tries to touch Charlotte inappropriately, but Alan grabs his hand in midair and breaks it into two. The other thug charges toward Alan with a magical sword, but Alan freezes his sword and knocks him out with a single punch. Alan still rages to kill them, but suddenly becomes numb as he recalls Charlotte's condition for no violence. He quickly apologizes to her, but Charlotte brushes it off as no big deal. She tells him that fighting is bad, but since he did it to protect her, it does not count. She thanks him for protecting her, and Alan replies that she does not need to worry about anything as long as they are together with each other. From a distance, Aruka watches the whole scene and taunts victory to Alan this time. She murmurs to herself that when it comes to love and romance, Alan is a better match for Charlotte than she is. Just when they thought everything is over, the leader of the thugs appears, forcing Charlotte to hide behind Alan while he watches the man carefully. Without hesitation, Alan walks straight over and asks him whether he is Megath. The man agrees, and Alan gets a nostalgia listening to the name. But out of nowhere, Megath claims he doesn't know anyone like Alan and punches him. Alan remains unharmed and tells Megath that perhaps his memory is weak. He reintroduces himself as Alan Crawford from the Magical University. Megath recalls this name and starts his pants. He falls at Alan's feet and greets him as the Great Demon Lord. He begs for mercy, and everyone around watches the scene in astonishment. The minions from Megath's gang appear and ask him not to kneel down. They step forwards to take care of Alan, but Megath grows angry and strikes them down. He warns everyone not to trouble the Great Demon Lord any further, or they may face unknown consequences. Irua steps forward and explains to Charlotte that her father is the chairperson of the largest magical university in the world. As Alan has been intelligent since childhood, he graduated from Magical University at the age of 12. From then on, he becomes a teacher in the university and earns his nickname of Great Demon Lord. The next day, Mia and Aruka visit Alan at his mansion and find Alan at the door sitting with a lame face. Aruka guesses that there must be something between him and Charlotte, and he nods his head. The previous night, he tries to give some money to Charlotte, which she refused to take. Alan claims it as her salary and asks her not to hesitate while accepting it. After a little push, Charlotte accepts the money, but asks him permission for shopping alone. At first, Alan refuses her request, but eventually gives in when she keeps insisting with a cute puppy face. Now, in the present, he is regretting his decision of letting her go alone. Mia and Aruka listen to his whole story and exchange glances with each other. They give him the idea of following Charlotte from the shadows, and he agrees to do so. After some time, Charlotte goes to the market, and the three of them follow her like stalkers. Charlotte follows the map given to her by Alan, and Alan feels proud over it. After some time, Mia points out that Charlotte is heading to the deserted area in the city full of criminals. She warns that after another left turn, Charlotte will end up in the turf of the Serpent Gang. Alan thinks for a while and prepares to leave the area with an excuse of urgent work. He asks and Mia to take care of Charlotte until he returns and disappears into the shadows. After a left turn, Charlotte reaches the deserted area and tries to figure out where she is. Everyone gets scared as the situation looks bad and the gang members surround Charlotte. Mia and Aruka take an instance to defend her, but to their surprise, they all cheerfully welcome her with flowers and drums instead of attacking her. Everyone gets surprised surprised by this and tries to figure out what's going on. Soon, Alan returns and Uka asks him where he has been till now. He smirks and replies that he has already given a very peaceful lesson to Serpent Fong and told them the consequences of messing with Charlotte. Charlotte notices bruises on bodies of gang members like someone gave them a good beating. She asks them if they are fine and offers them a healing potion. The group of goons break down into tears and praise Charlotte like a goddess. They decided to change their way of living and live honestly from now onwards. Charlotte asks them if they are friends of Alan, and they agree as they were already aware of the consequences of disappointing the Demon Lord. They cross-question Charlotte about her relationship with the Demon Lord, which makes Alan excited from the alley. Charlotte describes Alan as her master and adds that they regularly do naughty things together. Everyone is left in shock while Alan rushes to clear up the misunderstanding. Aruka mentions that they may get spared here, but there are many other areas further in the city where Charlotte might get lost and encounter gangs. Alan grins over this and declares that it means he has to take control over this area. Then after that, Uruka and Mika trail while Alan beats the out of all the gangs from the city. Suddenly, the city becomes peaceful and Charlotte continues her secret shopping. In the evening, Charlotte finishes her shopping and meets Alan. Mia-cha and Charlotte near the market. Charlotte tells him that everyone is praising Alan in the street as yesterday he beat down those goons and their boss Megath, which made the streets safe and peaceful. Alan asks Charlotte about her shopping and she replies that it went smoothly. She presented 2 gifts to Mia-cha and Haruka, which were trending in the town at that time. Both of them thank Charlotte for doing this for them from her first salary. Alan makes a bad face and asks Charlotte if she has something for him. Charlotte replies that she tries to find gifts for him, but in the end, she was unable to find something which suited Alan as she is still unaware of what Alan likes. Alan cried in frustration that he would have been happy with a stamp, postcard, flag, train photo, mole, and even a roadside flower if it was from her. Charlotte apologizes to him and says that she is sorry as she did not realize it earlier. She took Alan's rob in her hand, which was dirty and torn. She asks him to at least let her mend it as a token of apology, and Alan agrees. In the night, Charlotte reads a book suggested by Alan and praises it. She talks about the mention of magical mice in different countries in the book. Alan asks her if there are other places in the book she wants to check out. Alan tells her that she just needs to tell him the place, and he will visit there tomorrow. She hesitates to tell him, so Alan blackmails her again to tell him otherwise he will put a curse on his own heart. Charlotte tries to stop her from doing so, and both of them come into a compromising position. Suddenly the door bangs, and Mia-cha enters the house. Alan asks her why she came here, even though she has already sent all the mails to him. Mia-cha hands a packet to Alan and says that it is a present for both of them. There are tickets to the Unoha region inside this packet for 2 people. The next day, Alan and Charlotte head to the Unoha region in a private horse wagon. On their way, Charlotte notices the beautiful plains and praises the amazing scenery of the region. Mia-cha and Aruka hide in the hills and follow both of them as they are the ones who planned that surprise of their tickets. After a long ride, both of them reach the Uno resort where a mermaid greets them. The mermaid receptionist checks their tickets and welcomes them on their honeymoon. Alan tells her that they are not on any honeymoon, so the receptionist assumes again that they must be lovers and welcomes them lovers. Both Charlotte and Alan become tomato red upon listening to this, and Alan clarifies that they are not lovers either. The receptionist looks towards them in confusion and tells them that their reservation is already there as couples. She opens the packet given to Alan by Mia-cha and shows them 2 special tickets for couples inside the pack. Alan curses Mia-chi in his mind while Mia-chi and Uruka enjoy this commotion hiding behind the reception desk. As the package was very expensive and already booked, both of them finally decided to use it as a couple for one day. After exploring the resort for a while, the mermaid guides them to the hot spring. The giant entrance of the hot spring leaves both of them in awe. The guide explains the specialty of those hot springs to them and asks if they bought their swimsuit. Alan asks her why they need swimsuits. She explains to them that it is a mixed bath for both men and women and they need swimsuits for that. She further tells them that they have various cute rental swimsuits here and escorts Charlotte to the girls section. Alan bought a swimsuit for himself and waited for Charlotte outside the waters. He thought about what would happen when he saw Charlotte in a swimsuit. She reaches one of his smartest conclusions and decides that he will stop his own heart if it comes to the worst of the worst. Suddenly, Charlotte enters, and after seeing her, he says to himself that now he don't need to stop his heart as it has already stopped. Charlotte asks him if the swimsuit looks good on her, and Alan compliments him with an embarrassed red face. Charlotte praises him and says that he looks good in a swimsuit, and finally Alan regains his composure. Both of them enter the spring and start enjoying services one by one. In the evening, both of them shared a moment alone in a hot spring. They soak in hot springs surrounded by rocks and enjoy the beautiful scenery of sunset. As they were shocking in the hot spring, the maid came with an ice cream. Charlotte asks Alan about it, and Alan explains that he is the one who ordered that ice cream. He tells Charlotte that it is supposed to be a surprise for her, and it is a naughty thing that they can only do in a hot spring. He uses his immortal ice magic over the the ice cream so that it does not melt due to the heat of the hot spring. Suddenly, others also start ordering ice cream, and it becomes a total chaos there. After a short, while as soon as their ice cream gets delivered, some of the children come to Alan and ask him to use that ice magic on their ice cream too. Alan says that today he is in a good mood, so he accepts their request and uses immortal ice magic on all the cups of ice cream. Later in the dining hall, Alan asks the guide about other interesting sites there. The guide suggests to them many sites worth seeing, including divine sports, beaches, and a hill where they can observe Fenrir's. Charlotte asked Alan about Fenrir's, and Alan replied that they are magical creatures which are very noble and peaceful. Before they can decide to go there, the guide suggests to them that the Fenrir's will not be there as this is the mating season. After dinner, both of them enter the room and move toward bed. Alan suddenly freaked out as he notices the bed is decorated with lovey-dovey romantic couple things. He suddenly called the room service and asked them to remove that extra decoration. Outside the room, Miyachi and Aruka spy on them using hearing aids and expected something not to happen as they share the same bed. Meanwhile, in the room, their guide removes the decoration but tells them that this is a special custom-made bed. When two people sleep on it, they can watch whatever dream they want to watch. Both of them went to sleep but were unable to sleep because of overcomfort of bed. Alan asks Charlotte what dream she wants to see. She replies that she wants to dream about her mother who passed away a long time ago. She asks Alan for help to sleep, and Alan uses his light hypnotic magic on Charlotte. After Charlotte sleeps peacefully, Alan starts gazing at her beautiful sleeping beauty. He notices her white skin, cute face, and blonde hair. But suddenly he feels something in his body. He understands the heat of the moment and uses a Heil spell of deadly force on himself. Because of that himself, both he and those two stalkers outside the room fall asleep in a second. The next morning, Alan and Charlotte wakes up, and Alan asks her about her dream. Tears flow out in Charlotte's eyes, and she thanks Alan for that peaceful sleep, because of which she was able to have a very good time with her late mother in her dream. Later that day, both of them visited a zoo that Charlotte had wanted to see for a long time. The zoo was filled with various animals, birds, and magical creatures. Alan picked up a map and asked Charlotte where she wanted to go. She pointed to a picture, and Alan understood she wanted to visit the petting zoo. She agreed with Alan and told him that when she was young, she had seen it in a book and had wanted to visit ever since. Alan declared that they would definitely go and told Charlotte to ask for anything she wanted. She hesitated at first, but Alan launched into his usual over-the-top act, pretending to curse his own heart. She asked Alan to wear matching ones with her, and although he was clearly embarrassed, he still put them on with a reluctant smile. As soon as Charlotte entered the petting zone, all the magical creatures gathered around her and began playing with her. Even those that had been far away started running toward her, eager to be petted. The crowd at the zoo watched in awe, wondering who she was, amazed by how popular she seemed among the magical creatures. After a while, Alan and Charlotte sat on a bench to rest. Charlotte thanked him warmly for giving her such a wonderful experience. Alan's mind drifted back to the moment in the forest when Charlotte had been unconscious, surrounded by magical creatures. That memory sparked a theory that Charlotte might be a natural magical creature tamer, something she herself wasn't even aware of yet. He explained to her that a magical tamer is someone who can communicate with magical creatures. Even at his level, Alan admitted he could only speak with lower-tier magical beasts. Yet Charlotte had done it instinctively with no training at all, which meant she might actually be an incredibly powerful tamer. He wondered aloud if a trained tamer of her talent could go so far as to tame high-level magical beasts like Fenrir's. Just then, a zoo guide came running toward them, asking for help. She led them to the control center where other magical tamers were already gathered. A moment later, the zoo director entered the room and asked Alan if he was the son of the Crawfords. Recognizing him, the director said he had seen Alan once when he was a guest lecturer at the magical university. The staff looked visibly relieved to know that someone from the Crawford family was present. Alan asked the director about the problem, and the director leads him into a room.